What's up, everybody? Today is a special day because behind me is the Blade HQ Collectors event. We got a bunch of local collectors and they brought so many cool knives.
We're gonna get to talk to a bunch of them, maybe talk through their story on how they got into knives, see a few of their knives, and then we're gonna wrap it up for you guys. It's gonna be awesome.
If you like cool knives, you're not gonna wanna miss this one.
Let's do it.
This is Brandon, and how many knives did you bring to the show today?
I don't know. You're gonna ask that? I don't know. I probably maybe 120.
And that's not even half. So, but he did show four of some of the more notable ones. I don't know. They're all super notable, but he brought four awesome ones, and we're gonna talk about them. Starting with this guy.
So this is the Hawk Knives Talon. It's the prototype. I got this at Blade Show West this last couple months ago. But
I saw Gavin carrying one, and I was like, "That's nice."
it is. If you ever have a chance to play with a Hawk Lock, do it. It is the most tactile knife that you've ever played
It
with.
sounds so good.
It feels,
It's amazing.
and as good as it sounds, it feels better because it clicks and you can feel it, and it's awesome.
That's really
Here, listen to this.
a beautiful click.
Oh, it's so good. One of the best sounding knives ever.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So, continuing in that same addiction, I have the Surge Rook, which also has that Hawk Lock that I was able to get at Blade Show West.
So good.
Has that it's an awesome little raven skull on there, so that's a fun knife.
I like that. Nice
So did
little touch.
Surge make that scale like that, or is this some
He did.
custom job?
So he does production. Well, he does his production like that. With the copper, he also does some brass and a few other like micarta, Richlight, I think. So
I guess I once saw Panchink. Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
No, you're good. So do you ever kind of customize your own once you get them, or do you just like to leave them as is?
every once in a while, I'll customize it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to kind of change, the art of
exactly.
what they made. These ones definitely not going to touch because they're just perfect the way they are.
Yeah, they're sweet.
Is that a Rosie I see?
It is. So this is actually the Rosie Skelly. So this was the first drop that they did of the Skellies with the bronze, and I was able to be very fortunate to get my name called for that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I know that's a pretty hard lottery to win.
Oh yeah, it's insane. I got super lucky on that one.
Yeah, so how do they manage to stuff like washers or bearings in there? It looks like there's no room for it.
So it is actually there is a little bit of space just right underneath the collar. One of the really cool things, I don't know how well you can see it, but on the Rosie, they actually do a double detent. So there's two detent balls in there,
Nice.
which makes when it opens, instead of getting a chunk, it's just a nice little crisp snap open.
You can barely hear that too. It's
and
nice.
it's really cool to see it with the skeletonized handle on that. So
Yeah, that's a lot of machining.
yeah, it's a lot of work.
Do you normally get your knives from the lotteries at shows, or how do you normally acquire these?
It varies. When I'm lucky, I try to get them in the lottos because that tends to be a little bit cheaper than buying it on the secondary. But
Fair.
I have no problem going on the secondary to try to hunt something down.
Nice.
Which is actually where I ended up getting this next piece.
Yeah,
This is
show
one of the
us
coolest
that.
knife stories I've ever heard. You gotta listen to this.
So it looks like a normal ZT-0450, but back in the day when they first made the ZT-0450s, they gave 20 of them to Dmitry Sinkovich, and he modified them. And so he modified them all to look like this, and inside there's actually some engraving saying it's one of 20.
Wow.
And I'm fortunate to have 3 of them in my collection. So
Dang.
So there are 20 pieces ever made by one of the most renowned custom makers in the world, and you have 3 of them.
yeah, that was a lot of hunting and a lot of patience to try to track those down. So
That's sweet.
So whatever your grill knife is, you just gotta hunt for it.
Yeah. I mean, you're clearly invested in this. It's something you're passionate about. We have to have you on another time to show your whole collection.
I got a few surprises for you.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so if you guys want to hear of Brandon's full collection, it'll probably be a long video. Let us know in the comments.
All right, Brandon. So you've shown us these. These are amazing. But how did you get into this collecting?
Well, it started a long time ago. Always was interested in knives. We grew up as a Boy Scout growing up, so you always had to have a pocket knife for that.
Yeah.
And then once I, moved out on my own, and I had
Adult
money to play
money.
with. Yeah, money to play
There you
with.
go.
I was just like, hey, that's interesting. I'm gonna buy knives. And I remember telling my wife the first time I bought a $175 knife, I'm like, babe, I will never spend more than this. Like, this is the best knife ever, and it's an absolute classic knife. But here we are, like 15 years later, and yeah, we're a little bit past that.
Well, that's awesome. I feel like a lot of people say they started in Boy Scouts or their dad gave them a knife or something. So it's super cool to see how you transitioned into it being such an amazing passion. So yeah, thank you.
All right, Chase, I know you brought a ton of knives, but these 4, I've heard that you can barely get anywhere, if at all.
Yeah, most of them are pretty hard to get a hold of. So all these are either sprint runs or they're out of production. So yeah, they're kind of hard to get a hold of.
All right, so starting with this ZT sprint run, tell me about this guy.
So that's a ZT0350. It's a special sprint run. You can only get, those scales only came with that sprint run. It's also in MagnaCut steel.
Very cool.
They only did one sprint run of those. So either you have to find it on the secondary, basically, if you want one.
Yeah. How did you get one? You just got it when it released?
I found a one that was in North Carolina that was old stock. That was in the back. They had one left. They put it on the website.
You're like, mine. Very
Eagerly clicking, I must have it.
Yeah, I'd been looking for one forever, and it just popped up when I was doing a search. So
Very
I actually
cool.
bought that new in box.
amazing.
That's awesome. So, I mean, because you ever need to retire, you can just sell it.
Right. I don't know that it's worth quite that much, but it's pretty good. A lot of people want one.
That's cool.
And then this next knife, I've never seen this before in my life.
Okay, so this is Blade Show West 2 years ago, the winner for factory-made knives. This is a Mr. Cipher. It came in the drop point and a Tonto point.
Very
And
pretty.
I believe the Fast Tech was the OEM for this. I may be wrong, but I think that's who it was. And it's just, I really like a TRM style of knife. Thin, and I mean, this is a knife. This is, you're not going to pry with this or anything, but it's just
Boy, will you slice with it.
right. And the action on
Nice
it.
drop shot.
And the carbon fiber is fantastic.
It's very pretty.
Gorgeous. Speaking of pretty carbon fiber, that giant mouse is good looking too.
Yeah, so this is a Giant Mouse Lynch Northwest collab in MagnaCut, Bibula XL, and this was only available through Lynch. I believe they did a
Nice.
run of 300 of these. So, and Giant Mouse is almost always good. I mean,
Oh yeah,
so
good action.
those are fantastic. I have several Giant Mouse knives, but this is probably my favorite.
Yeah, and then before we get into this last one, which we're all excited about, how did this start for you? This obsession for knives, the want to have so many cool ones.
Well, my first problem was I worked for a backpack company.
Okay.
I opened boxes all the time,
Yeah.
broke knives all the time. Then I bought my first Spyderco.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't believe I was going to spend $60 on a knife.
Right at the time.
Right.
If only it was
So
like
at the
that
time I
now.
bought it, it was the most expensive
Right.
knife that I'd ever bought.
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of went from there.
There you
I fish,
go. Okay. Very cool.
fixed blades, all kinds of stuff, and it
Oh,
just
yeah.
kind of went from there.
Nice. We
Sounds
love
like a
that.
fun ride. And is this the Spyderco where it all started?
Yes, this is the first Spyderco that I bought.
Wow.
This is an Endura R2 steel. I bought this in 1993.
Dang.
So, like, this is
$60.
Like first production run Endura, pretty much.
I don't know if it's first production run, but
very
it's
early.
it's a very early one.
Complete with the injection molded clip that goes
Right.
with the handle.
That's incredible.
It's normally broken.
That's like a piece of knife history, Chase.
Right.
That is. That's so cool.
And it came in the Spider Edge, so this has opened thousands of boxes at this point.
That's
Oh, it's
amazing.
still open some great.
Yep.
Very cool.
Do you carry it at all?
Not so much anymore.
It's been retired to a place of
Yeah,
honor.
it's pinned, so if I were to break it, I wouldn't be able to really fix it.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
I mean, that's a backlog that
Drop
drops
shots.
shots.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's been around a while.
Man, what a treat to see that, Chase. And I must say, I don't take nearly that good care of my knives. I'm sure my first 30 or 40-year-old knife will not look that good.
Yeah,
Well,
that
there
looks
were
great.
a bunch of broken ones prior to that, so first actual real good knife that I bought, I would say.
Very cool. And so, for your collections, do you kind of target knives that are maybe one-offs or sprint runs, or
I
is
like strange stuff.
it? You do. Okay. There you
Yeah, so I've got Or if I buy something that's standard, I like it a little bit different.
Okay.
Different colored handle.
Do you mod stuff yourself?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So
Very cool.
like this has the color is purple.
Yeah. Very nice.
That's not the way that it comes.
Okay, you did that. Very cool. Awesome.
Man, well, it's been an absolute treat seeing these knives, Chase, and I hope that my collection looks like yours one day.
Thanks.
I'm sure my wife does not.
Appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, David. So you got some pretty awesome knives. Once again, just a sampling of the collection here, and it looks like we got a Hawk right here.
We do. This is the John Wick 4 Deadlock Model C.
Sweet.
This is one where I saw that one was available and I had to have it. I have a couple of John Wick blades and memorabilia, so it is just as solid as everyone says it is, and the frame is made of titanium.
It's beautiful.
It's like from butter to stone. It's just, it locks in every time, no problem, and I can carry that and use it and not be worried about it. They just make incredible stuff.
That's
So
sweet.
did that one come with the whole box?
It did, yeah. So back at home, I have the whole collector's box with the Hawk logo burned in on the top, and then the cutaway foam on the inside.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pencil.
Yeah, and the pencil. Once saw him kill
The
three
only
men
thing
in a
more
bottle.
deadly than a deadlock is a pencil.
Apparently, if you're John Wick.
There you go. And then going along with OTFs.
And with OTFs, I've always loved OTFs, and this one actually came up at MSRP, which was odd because it is a serial number 1
Dang.
copper top
Okay.
with the black DLC coating, and I will probably end up getting this engraved because
Okay.
I'm going to keep this forever.
That's sweet.
So I was talking about your collection a minute ago, and you were talking about how you love to put movie quotes and stuff
Yeah.
on your knives. So
Yeah.
how did you, did movies play a role with you getting into knives in the first place?
Not so much. It was really started back with my family. Like my grandpa was in the Navy, and my dad was on ambulance crew, and so they're kind of like outdoorsy
Yeah.
types. And so I still have slip joint knives that my grandpa gave me when I was like 5 for birthdays and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So that's really where it all started. And then seeing them in movies definitely gives it that cool factor.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but I've always just, I don't know what calls me to knives. It's just one of those things where you just like them because you like them, I guess.
That's awesome.
We love that. And so do you normally get knives from shows? Do you attend all the blade shows and try to get like exclusives and stuff?
I try if I can.
Yeah.
My work schedule is smack in the middle of the day, so I
it's
generally
tough.
don't get out.
We get
A lot of nighttime regrets clicking the checkout button, but
We don't regret it.
no. So I try to get out when I can, but I like to go treasure hunting too. Like if I see
sweet.
little markets or
Nice.
people are set up selling different things, I'll go see what I can find.
Very cool. And then last but not least, you have a Kershaw for us.
Launch 11, 13.
Yep, the Warncliffe.
Yeah, the Warncliffe
yeah,
blade
that's sweet.
Damascus. I am a sucker for Damascus, so
That's
once
really
again
cool.
saw that. And with blades small like this, the contour for me is really nice because I have really long fingers.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a grip sometimes.
Hey, I get it.
Yeah. The point on that Launch 13 is absolutely wicked.
I love it.
Crazy sharp, pointy.
And the Damascus flow follows the contour of the blade as well, so it looks like waves falling down the blade.
That looks
Really
nice.
nice.
Very complimenting.
It's a good looking one. Hey, thanks for sharing with us, David.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, next up we are here with James, and he's probably the biggest knife modder I've ever met.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, it's kind of an addiction once you get into it to purpose-built something exactly how you want it.
Looks like we got a couple of triages.
Yeah, so this is my daily carry. I'm in a fairly decent responder role, as well as I teach like tactical application, so self-defense, combatives and stuff. And by default, the Benchmade Triage, this model had a sheep's foot blade, which is great for just rescue.
Yeah.
But for me, the rescue hook, Benchmade makes some of the best rescue hooks in the market. There's good ones out there, but Benchmade just seems to edge retention. I mean, we have zipped off, combat boots before where you just, not just the sides, but all the way through the sole.
Yeah.
And to get, a compound fractured foot out. And so I love having a rescue hook not separate.
Yeah.
On my other gear, I've got a dedicated rescue hook. But now this can fill a defensive role as well as practical application, but then you've got the rescue mods and a really good glass breaker too.
Sweet.
We've tested these out and they actually work. Some glass breakers are hit and miss. They did a good job on their glass breaker.
That's cool. And you were telling me earlier that you put the little lanyards on the bottom to help with easier deployment out of your pocket for those quick responder moments.
Right. So this would be called like what we call a fob.
Yeah.
We did a little test because we had a lot of our students that were losing their knives constantly.
Yeah.
And so we would just bring a hank of paracord and say, why don't you just throw a piece of paracord through your lanyard hole, give it a tie, and then see how often you misplace that knife.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had almost 100% improvement. Nobody misplaced
that's
their knives
awesome.
after that. And I don't know what the psychology is behind it, but just having that, and it
Yeah.
also reduces theft. Because you get
True.
students walking off with your knives or something, but if it's got a lanyard on
Yeah.
it, you
You're
know
like, yeah,
that's
that's
your
mine.
knife. But it also helps to deploy it out of the pocket too, because that's you just got this little fob here, so you can index. So without looking, you can feel right where that knife is at. Slip
Yeah,
your thumb and
absolutely.
deploy it. So
Cool.
Yeah. Then it looks like your SE modding game is second to none.
dude, SE makes some of the most reliable and not very expensive. Like you can get into some of the different SEs for not very much money, and yeah, you can mod them out. You know, scale changes. You can reshape them. They're starting to do the 3-dimensional handles now. Before you had to do that if you wanted that.
Yeah.
This is a project that's in works.
So allegedly, this used to be an SE4.
That was an SE4.
Let's hold them up together.
Yeah, there's a comparison. So you've spent a lot of quality time on the grinder with this guy.
Yeah, and I wish it was done. It's just I haven't
That's
had the
cool.
time. But yeah, so we're doing a handle reduction, so it's more geometric in your hands. Not that the SE4 is bad out of the box at all. I've carried the SE3 and 4 on my belt for years, but this is another daily carry. I use the Ulti clip to keep it locked into my waistband. But the SE4 is already a great knife, but I like something more with the point in the center line, especially for wilderness application and stuff. And so I brought the point to the center line. This will get reverse bevels on it to strengthen up the tip and give it a little bit more slicing. Change the edge geometry needs to be done.
Wow.
But this, it's hard to explain, right? But once you feel it,
It's the James
Yeah.
knife, right?
You just know what you're doing with it. Exactly.
it just
That handle's pretty good, James.
You like that?
I like that.
Isn't that hard to explain? Like on camera, you can't
Yeah.
like
It's
explain
like
it.
just right for your fingers to close around it. Like,
Yeah.
I think it works really well with my hand. If I had a huge hand or something, maybe it wouldn't be perfect. I don't know. But that's a good handle.
And that SE4 has got enough meat that depending on how big your hand is, you can do a handle reduction just to fit your hand.
Yeah.
Without, literally a Harbor Freight little belt sander, and you're there.
Yeah.
Modification.
Modification.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll have to get out in the woods with you sometime.
I would love it. It sounds good.
All right, thanks, James.
All right. See you guys.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, and you've got a lot of Hinderer, it looks like.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is amazing.
Very much so.
All right, so tell me about some of your top models here.
I'd say my favorite ones are the Eclipse in
That's sweet.
full battle black.
Full Battle Black.
Full battle black.
Yeah, things blacked out. Tactical.
That's like custom hardware, too.
So I got a Still Flame Archangel clip. I got Monkey Edge titanium scale,
That's amazing.
and then Monkey Edge 3V one clip Eclipse.
Dang.
She's pretty.
Yeah, that's a
Very
nice
much so.
one. What else you got for us?
And I got Winter Blade
Oh,
Coat.
I love that blue.
Oh, the
8.
magnets. The magnets.
Okay, the way you open that with the back, for those that don't know, talk us through how that works.
Essentially, it's a magnetic detent,
Yeah.
and then that just
Oh, that's
pushes
sweet.
it out, and then it also keeps it closed.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I love the blue on that, too.
Yes.
So while we're in between these, what kind of got you into knives? What's your story with obviously acquiring a collection like this?
So, I think it started when I started going to Asian gifts in the mall,
Oh yeah,
buying $20 knives here, $20 there.
there you go.
It's a dangerous place to start, man.
Yes.
It gets a lot more
Yes, it
expensive
is.
from there.
Exactly.
And then
Like any addiction.
Yeah.
after that, I found Blade HQ when it was in Lehigh.
Oh yeah.
And then I started ordering from there. And then I started with Benchmades,
Nice.
slowly worked my way up to Hinderers, and now that's really my obsession at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
Hinderers
that's
are
awesome.
grail knives of the highest degree, so I can think of no more noble brand to
And they're
collect.
really, you can basically make it however you want.
Yeah.
I mean, they got any colors, any hardwares, fancy screws, and everything else. Titanium scales, G10, micarta. I mean,
That's cool. You can customize your collection to yourself.
Exactly,
Which is really special. That's sweet.
The Hinderer world is just as big as you need it to be.
Yes, unfortunately. and once you're in it,
There's no leaving.
no,
No going back.
you're in forever.
Well, that's awesome.
I love it. And I'm curious about one more knife here, and it's this PMP right here. Can you tell me about that?
That's massive, by
This
the
is
way.
the PMP Kodiak,
Wow.
which is basically a brick.
It's chunky. That might be the biggest backspacer I've ever seen on a knife.
Yes, I would have to.
It's huge. And all the milling on that handle is crazy.
Although when I was handing it to you, it was not quite as heavy as I was thinking it was going to be.
Oh yeah, it's a brick,
Little.
basically a pocket brick.
It's awesome, though. Hey, thanks for sharing your collection with us.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know about you, Sarah, but that was a lot more knives than I was expecting to see.
It was, but it was really cool.
It was, and I thought I was a knife nerd.
Well, you still are.
I still am.
But maybe they're a little bit more than you are.
a little bit.
It's okay.
What was your favorite knife you saw?
Brandon's Rosie. That was sick.
Likes the Oz.
It was beautiful.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, my personal favorite was seeing that old school Endura.
Okay, yeah.
What a
Well, you're a
classic.
die-hard Spyderco fan. That hits home for you, so I get it.
Yeah, it was like the original Sal Glesser design. Anyway.
Yeah, that was cool to see, for sure.
Yeah, but thank you all for joining us. If you have an awesome knife collection, keep building it, and maybe one day you'll be on a video too.
Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Blade HQ for more videos like this, and we will see you guys next time.